Hello and welcome back to the Last Place Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your co-host Ethan, joined once again with Ryan, and we're talking week 2 of the playoffs today.
Yes, we are week 16. Are you excited, Ethan?
I am for other leagues. Uh, I mean,
Yeah.
before we talk about playoffs, do we want to just like really quick go over like news, and then we can talk about playoffs? What happened last week, matchups this week?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we can talk about
So JT's coming back.
JT is
We
coming back.
don't know what capacity yet, but he got a full practice today.
Yeah.
A good thing.
Jamar Chase is going to be out for this
Yeah.
week and possibly next. So season ending for those of you that are in the playoffs like me and have him, you're going to have to replace him with somebody.
Have,
So yeah, unfortunately, I have good depth, but that loss is going to hurt, especially with
well,
Browning
in
playing
our
so
league, you
well.
have the four horsemen:
Yeah, yeah, I do. I I'm kind of
Sun
hurting
God
at quarterback right
CD,
now.
Sun God
So,
CD, Jamar Chase, and who's your other wide receiver that's been doing good this year?
well, I used to have Waddle, but yeah, yeah. So I have. Oh, that's my other league. I have AJ Brown, CD Lamb, and DeAndre Hopkins, and
Oh, I'm on
that's
Raw. I'm
it
on Raw.
for
Nice.
yeah,
AJ's the
yeah.
other.
Amon-Ra, CeeDee Lamb, and Hopkins. So yeah, right now I had to put in Hopkins to replace him, which is kind of iffy.
Yeah.
But they're playing Seattle this week, so it might be a decent game. So who knows? But
Is that it
yeah,
for
so
JT, Jamar Chase? Do we have any
um,
other things?
Trevor Lawrence could be out this week. I know that because he's going through concussion protocol.
Right.
Stroud
TJ
has been,
Stroud is still out in
yeah,
concussion.
yeah, and
We
he
don't know
is
about
probably
Pittman though.
Pittman.
Um,
I haven't heard any news on Pittman at all.
yeah, I haven't
So
heard anything about Pittman. So
I
I
don't know if he's even in concussion protocol. They just probably took him out of the game to
Okay,
make
he was
sure
listed
he's,
today as limited.
oh, he's limited today. Okay.
Um,
Well, at least he's practicing. That's a good thing. But we'll see later on in the week because it's Wednesday now. So we'll see how he does Thursday and Friday, and he could possibly be playing. When do they play? Saturday or Sunday?
they play Sunday.
Hmm.
They're the
Okay,
first
so he
time
could
Sunday
be
games for whatever your time zone is.
okay. So he could be playing Sunday. You just got to watch. Now that's really nail biting for me because I don't. My other two backups play at 12. My yeah, my other two backups play at 12.
I mean,
So
you'll
I'm
know
probably
before the
gonna have to face.
game.
I'm probably gonna have to sub in Minshew over Lawrence.
Yeah,
So
just
that's
Saturday.
gonna be a nightmare.
Saturday we have Bills Chargers. We have Bengals Steelers, and we have that's it. There's just two.
Yeah. So it's getting a little iffy for me.
So two games
I'm
that
not necessarily I'm not necessarily super confident that I'm going to make it past this round, even though I am facing Alex.
and
So
no, dude, Alex. Well, you need to stay
I mean,
humble.
Alex
It's how
has a pretty
fantasy works.
decent
But
team.
Alex's teams is looking kind of buns
I mean, yeah, his running backs aren't great, but
because
Rashee Rice and Stephon Diggs probably will
so
have decent
Monty and
games.
Eckler underperformed. Ayuk
Yeah.
underperformed. Calvin Ridley
Well,
Diggs
it's
underperformed last week. So
yeah.
and they
Well,
don't
it's
have great
looking
matchups
like
this week.
yeah. Well, it's looking like Eckler is not doing great.
No,
He's
it's
in a
still
timeshare
they're
right
still
now.
rotating all three
Yeah,
backs. See who's going to
he's in
start.
a timeshare. He's not getting like he got 40% snap share last
Yep.
week.
Yep.
That's rough for Eckler owners. Like that's
40
real rough.
5 carries for 9 yards.
Hmm.
So that's
So,
brutal. And honestly,
That'll be interesting to
Miller
watch
looked
this
pretty
upcoming week.
decent in that game too.
Yeah.
Miller looked decent.
Well,
Kelly looked decent.
yeah, and I think they're going to be looking for a new running back next year. I think
I think
Eckler's gone.
I
I
think
don't
they'll
think
go with
Eckler's going
Kelly
to be
or
back.
Spiller and kind
Who
of
knows?
feel out who they want to take. But
We could see Eckler or Josh Jacobs, probably more Josh Jacobs than Eckler in Minnesota next year.
yeah,
So,
somebody's going to Minnesota.
and
I,
somebody's going to Minnesota, either
I
a
feel
free
pretty
agent or they might draft a running back this year. Who knows?
yeah.
More
But
than
that's new.
likely, they will spend a draft pick instead of spending big money on a running back. So, because our cap hit is also not great right now.
That's
But
that is news.
that's off season issues. We are talking week 16 right now,
Yeah. So
and we are going.
as a quick recap,
Yeah.
so we're gonna
Oh yeah, yeah.
recap our playoffs and then we can do dreams. So of the matchups, I played Ashley last week. I guess we can start with mine unless you want to start with yours.
No, go ahead.
So
By all means.
I lost to Ashley. Um, it was just one of those weekends where I couldn't catch a break, man. It started
Yep.
Thursday down 31 to the Raiders defense. And it just didn't get better from there. Like
Yeah.
the Browns came back on Chicago, who absolutely threw the game away. Like I thought I was gonna get a break there and like Flacco get like 8, 9 points. And then all of a sudden they get back in that
Yeah.
game. He finishes with 24. Rashad White, I knew was gonna hurt. And then Keaton Mitchell tears his ACL,
I
goes
was
down for
not
the
expecting
season.
Gus Edwards to
Yeah,
produce
and
that much.
Gus Edwards comes in, saves the day. Cooper Kupp has just been on a tear recently, so that 30 didn't help. I mean, her flexes and tight end goose, but
Yeah.
like I was just so far behind from
Yeah.
Kupp throwing 30, Rashad White throwing 30, Flacco throwing 25, and the Raiders defense throwing 31. And then like I bought too much into the hype of Gibson, and
Yeah.
like I just will never trust Washington ever again. Like I will never have a Washington player on my team so long as Ron Rivera is the head coach. Like if they do a
I mean,
staff,
he got.
I'll take Commanders players, but until then,
Yeah.
I'm not taking any Washington ever.
Well, I
No.
mean, Robinson hasn't done a
Somebody
bad
else,
job.
somebody else can have Robinson. I don't want him. I don't want anyone from Washington unless they overhaul that staff. So
Yeah, because Brian Robinson has actually looked pretty decent this year, but Antonio Gibson, just I'd say leave him on your bench from now
yeah,
on.
but I mean,
I
like,
mean, even into next year, he's a glorified backup, and I don't even think he's worth that.
yeah. And then like just in terms of my luck, like I didn't think the Saints were going to show out on the Giants after their monster performance. And like I
Yeah.
thought uh the Bengals had a better matchup against Minnesota with a backup QB, but evidently not.
Hmm.
And then McMahon
Well,
just
yeah, the only one that truly played for you was Gibbs, and that's it.
yeah. I mean,
Everybody else kind of crapped their
well,
pants.
I mean,
So
there's my luck again. Like Pittman and Moss get injured at the end of the first quarter when they're
yeah,
about to go nuclear.
yeah, Pittman was looking hot. Honestly, him and Moss could have probably won you this game if
Yeah,
they were
just
healthy.
just those two players.
Yeah,
And
they
I
were
mean,
looking
like
like bosses out there.
Gibson was a bad call. I should have played CEH. I felt like I should have played CEH, but I just got caught up in the hype. And then Goff, I just didn't trust him after the 6 point game.
Yeah,
But that the other lesson I learned is after a bad game, um, Dan Campbell will always get Detroit right after a bad
yeah,
game. So I mean,
but
it was good lessons learned, but sometimes your opponent just goes off and you don't, and you get
yeah,
a lot of bad luck, and that's fantasy.
yeah, exactly. And
But
you can't really do a
before
whole lot about that.
before on the show, I told you like I feel really good about my team going forward. Like I have a really young team. Um,
Yeah,
I think if there's one thing I can do, like find a little bit of wide receiver help. But other than that, like my team, I feel really good
your
about
team's
for
pretty
next year.
solid. Yeah,
I mean, yeah, like JT, Pacheco, ETN, um, Gibbs, Pittman. Goff,
Yeah.
all going forward, I feel really good about. So, and then
Yeah.
I've got some interesting tight ends and like Hunter Henry. Going forward, he
You
might
got
be.
a you've got a good roster. I think
Yeah,
you've got a good roster. You just need a little more depth.
yeah. It just
I
took a
think
season
that's
to.
what you're
Well,
looking for.
I even like my depth. Like, I like the potential of Algier, Zach Moss, and CEH in terms of depth. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
in relief, but like I feel like I can use Algier whenever I want in terms of depth.
Yeah.
I really
But
like
you
Mingo and Godwin in terms
yeah.
of depth. Like those are dudes who can put on double digit performances.
But I gotta say,
I do need to keep building.
you've probably got one of the best running back rosters in our league. I
Yeah.
mean, JT, Pacheco, Gibbs, and
And
ETN.
yeah,
Yeah,
I'm pretty
that's a pretty good stable of running backs. So I definitely obviously build on that, but I think your wide receivers need a little more help. I
yeah,
don't trust DK Metcalf as far as I can throw him.
yeah.
That's just he's been so up and down
It's just how it is.
every year that he's played. I don't trust him to make a decent fantasy impact every week.
Yeah.
Like I need a consistent amount of points. I do not like the up and down. I've told you this many times on this podcast. I don't
Right.
like the up and down. So, I just want to see a little more consistency. But you have a good roster.
Yeah, I
Me,
really like it going forward.
yeah. Going on to my week 15 matchup, it was a nail biter. Absolute nail biter. It I almost had a heart attack. Um,
Point.
so yeah, it was 1.3, I think. 1 point,
Yeah.
yeah, 1.3,
1.29
1.29, yeah,
if we want to be specific.
1.29, yeah, 1.29 points that I won by. And he had Jalen Hurts and Kenneth Walker
Yeah.
playing on Monday
And
night.
Addison.
And I was up by like 50, what was it, 50
It was a lot.
something points.
It was a lot.
I about crapped my pants going into the fourth quarter and seeing like Jalen
What
Hurts
what
was
saved
still
you?
driving.
What saved you is he started Madison. He could have put
Well,
anyone
yeah,
else in the flex, and he
and literally anybody else who could have started, and I would have lost.
like
That's
he could have
essentially
started
it.
Craig Reynolds, who got 1.3
Yeah,
points, and you would
yeah,
have.
and I would have lost. So because he started Madison, which that's a whole other issue that we've got to deal with. But since he started Madison, I won. So I pretty much squeaked into the playoffs by the skin of my teeth. So I'm very glad. But yes, I am on to the next round. I am facing
Yeah, so
Alex.
looking now, let's look forward. Yeah,
Yeah,
to what's
yeah,
coming.
looking forward to next week. Ashley, oh my gosh. So we've got
He's about to get
the
smoked.
Richter Bowl
Yeah.
this week
So
with
yeah, Josh and Clear
Josh
Mink,
facing his wife,
and
which is going to be very interesting.
he's
There's going
about
to be
to.
a
Yeah,
lot of tension in that household this week,
I mean,
and
there's not going to be
possibly
any
even
tension.
more.
Josh is going to be chilling. Like he's about to
I was going
absolutely
to say,
obliterate this team.
yeah, well, I mean, there's probably going to be a lot more tension next week when he knocks her out of the playoffs. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But Josh has just a juggernaut of a team. And
It's funny though. Most of his matchups are on Monday.
yeah, yeah, actually. Oh my gosh.
So Lamar plays Monday. CMC
Yeah,
plays Monday.
he's straight
Debo
chilling.
plays Monday. Likely plays Monday. AJ Brown plays Monday. Kelsey
Oh my
plays
gosh.
Monday, and Tucker plays Monday.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting. He's gonna be his Monday night miracle. I hope, I
He's going to
hope,
be glued the day after
I
Christmas.
hope. Don't okay, Josh, you're gonna see this. But it would be so funny to watch Ashley knock him out of the playoffs.
It would be funny,
It
but
would be
it's not going to
funny.
happen. But it would be
I
hilarious.
hope it I hope it doesn't just because I think Josh earned it this year. He earned that ship. Like he has gone 12-2 the entire year, and
He's
he has
collected
looked
a
like
pretty
an
solid team.
absolute juggernaut. So he's collected a very nice team. I think he deserves to go to the ship.
And this
But
is his window because his team is old. Like
yeah,
Debo's old,
yeah,
Kamara is
CMC, Kamara,
Kelsey is old,
yeah, he's probably going to have to go into a rebuild
and the next
next
2
year.
years. But he
Yeah,
also has the draft
like
capital to
not
do it.
next year as in like this upcoming year, but like the next year after. So
Yeah,
like
well, he
2025.
has 3 second-round picks this year, so he'll probably get something.
He's got enough to go, yeah, go do something. I mean, well, he's got 4 second round picks
Oh yeah, he has
and
his.
and 2 firsts next year. So this boy's gonna be dominating.
Yeah, he's not going
He's gotten so lucky. Oh
unless
my
he
gosh,
misses.
Josh,
Unless
you're
he
sucking.
just absolutely misses, but which
Yeah.
is entirely possible.
Yeah, well, it's also entirely possible that he hits on every one of his picks. And then we end up looking like, you know, David and Goliath out here on the fantasy gridiron. All right. So those are oh no. That was the Richter Bowl that we went over. So now we're looking at
Well, I
East.
will say it's not a guarantee because like taking a look back at people who have not hit, Dalton
Yeah,
Kincaid did not hit, Bryce Young did not hit, Quentin Johnston did not hit for you, Anthony
yeah.
Richardson has not hit. Um,
I'd say Anthony Richardson, yes.
Kendre Miller didn't hit, Roshan didn't hit, Tajay Spears didn't hit, Marvin
No,
Mims.
Tyjae Spears is still up in the air. I'd say Tyjae
I mean, we'll
Spears.
see. I would argue that it did not hit.
He's looked good, but the thing is, he's got Derrick Henry in front of him, and
Yeah.
you've got to remember, Derrick Henry sat for I think 2 years
I mean, we'll see.
behind somebody before he exploded out onto the scene.
So
So
here's
who
what second
knows?
round picks I
Who
will
knows?
say that hit. Sam Laporta hit, which was the 201. Thielen hit, which was the 202. You can argue for Zay Flowers here at the end of the season, but we'll see going
Yeah,
forward. But I'll put him down as a maybe. So we'll say 2.5 players have hit. Chain, I'm gonna go ahead and say he didn't hit, but going forward, he might be a maybe. So let's say 3. We'll give him half a point. Charbonnet didn't hit, and Ken Walker's still young. He's gonna be a number
yeah,
2 guy forever.
yeah.
Marvin Mims didn't hit. Tajay Spear, I can give you a half point. So 3.5 players have hit, and we are, let's see here, 7 picks in. Roshan didn't hit, Kendre didn't hit, and Josh Downs, I'm willing to give a half point. So
Yeah.
4 of the 10 players hit. I
Who
mean, I
knows
guess
though?
he has 4 second
Who
round
knows
picks
though?
and early picks, but it's not a guarantee. I still can't believe I got Jonathan
It's never a
Dell
guarantee.
at the 301 and 401, but we're not ready to talk about that
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I would have picked them up instead of Quentin Johnston.
in a perfect
But
world. Well, also
that's
Puka
just
at
me.
the end of the fifth. The
So even Puka is iffy because Cup is still there, but
Yeah, and Cup's
that's
been
just me.
going out the last 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. So let's move on. Do you want to address my big question real quick?
Yeah, big question.
Okay. So now this isn't really like a big question. It's just a little query. What is up with the tight ends this year? Like we have had multiple tight ends that are above 175 points right now in this league, which is
Hmm.
kind of nuts. It's great, honestly, and they've been fairly consistent. I mean, we've got Njoku, we've got Kelsey, Laporta.
You can argue Trey
We've got
McBride because it's been down the
yeah,
stretch.
Hawkinson. I mean, they've just George Kittle, Evan Ingram, Trey McBride, Cole Kmet is on the edge, and so is Jake Ferguson.
Yeah,
And you could argue that if Mandrews kept healthy, he would have been on this level with them.
right.
But are we reaching a time where tight end play,
Yeah, I think it's gonna be more,
good tight end play
I think it's gonna be
is
more important.
like you're options at having good tight ends aren't just limited to three players. Is it going to now extend to say like seven or even 10 players that are decent tight ends that are very much fantasy relevant, keep you in the playoffs, into the playoffs?
I mean, yeah,
So,
I think it definitely can.
because I mean, with the
It'll
plays
be
that we've
interesting
been
next year.
seeing,
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing.
crazy.
The fantasy points from this last year have been so abysmal, I think is the right word for
Yeah,
it, that who knows what we're going to experience next year. But I mean, there's a potential, like, Kelsey could still be in that range next year. I don't think he'll be number one
yeah,
next, but Laporta is ridiculous.
yeah,
Hawkinson is ridiculous. Kittle is going to get hit, especially down the like stretch. Kittle gets
yeah,
better. And then Evan Ingram has been like a bright spot in Jacksonville. And Njoku, if he keeps going the way he is, I mean, you still have Deshaun Watson. So with Deshaun Watson, I don't
yeah,
like Njoku as much. But if they can realize how good he's been for their team, Njoku going forward could be really special. So there's a possibility that, these next couple of years, because all these guys are young except for Kelsey and Kittle.
yeah,
So we could see it for the next couple of years of really good tight end play. I mean, maybe not Evan Ingram either, but
yeah,
like Laporta and Hawkinson are young. And Njoku is really young. Komet is young. Trey McBride is young. Ferguson is really young. Hunter Henry, maybe. Um,
yeah.
but it's possible. I mean, Dalton Kincaid and Mayer have also looked good in stretches.
When they've gotten their chance. But I'm saying
Uh,
like they are consistently in the game. Like Kelsey is, he's a threat.
I mean,
So
there
and
there might be another
a
Kelsey.
fantasy option. That's what I'm talking about. Like
I'd say
having a good fantasy option as a tight end, not
I'd say going
drawing a
forward,
random
there could
card
be
after the
there could
first
be
three
I'd say 10.
players.
I would say
Yeah.
10 going forward. There could be that'll be
So
fantasy relevant, like 170 points.
yeah, yeah.
Like especially down the stretch for playoffs, could be very impactful. I can definitely see a world where
Yeah.
tight ends become more
Because
important.
I mean, seeing the top three tight ends right now, they are all literally within half a point of each other.
Yeah.
The top three tight ends,
Well, Kelsey and Hawkins,
which
or
is
not Kelsey and
crazy.
Porta are tied at two.
Yeah, and then Hawkinson is point
It's point
two.
two.
It's point two behind them.
Right.
That's what's nuts. Is like we've had like Kelsey, Mandrews, and then
Everybody
all
else.
the other tight ends are like right down here, and
Maybe
like
Kittle.
maybe Hawkinson or somebody else up there, and Kittle. But like we've never had
Well, yeah,
all
so
of these tight ends. Like
here's what it was.
five, there's
Last
like
year it
six
was
tight ends that
Kelsey.
are really playable right now.
Yeah. Last year is Kelsey at 329, and then Hawkinson 109 points below that at 220.
Yeah,
But 220 is still good. And then I
yeah,
mean 203, 196, 181, 174, like it started really going downhill. And then in 21, it was Mandrews at 312, and then not as dramatic as a drop off, but
yeah,
Kelsey at 273, and then a dramatic drop off. Schultz 208, 205 for Kittle,
yeah,
184 for Pitts, 182 for Ertz, 178 for Gronk, and then it just kept
yeah.
sliding.
So like I love that we're seeing more tight ends now. I
No,
love it.
I definitely think going forward, that's something you could expect of having like 10 fantasy relevant, like above. I said before 170, I'd say even
Yeah,
above like 180, like maybe in the
yeah.
200 range, tight ends.
Yeah, because I mean, we could see. I mean, obviously, Kelsey, Laporta, and Hawkinson are all above 200. I can see Kittle, Evan Ingram,
Climbing, Evan Ingram
and
climbing,
Njoku possibly
McBride,
over the next 3 weeks.
McBride climbing.
It could, but he would have to score 50 points in the next 3 weeks. I mean,
And
he
I'm saying
could.
he could do that.
Yeah, he could definitely do it. But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, there's at least I'd say 5 to 6. I'd say six tight ends that could be above 200 points, which Doesn't I mean, I don't remember that happening a lot,
No, it's been a while.
over the last
So
couple of years. So
I think
seeing
it's
all of
been
these new tight ends,
developing.
it's nice. It's really
Yeah.
nice. It's really refreshing to see that. So, also, I want to talk about just real quick. I don't want to really go much into depth about it, but have you noticed that volatility in the wide receivers now that a
It's been good.
majority, now that a good chunk of the starting quarterbacks are out? Like I've noticed that since a lot of these big name quarterbacks have gone down, Herbert, um, Cousins,
Yeah, like Jamar
I
Chase
mean,
has been
yeah,
non-existent.
Burrow.
Like Keenan
It's
Allen
hard.
now has been
Yeah,
non-existent. And
and
then you look at
it's just volatile.
like Mike Evans is still about where he's been. Um, let's see, Devontae Adams has taken a pretty big hit.
Yep.
Nico's taken a big hit now that CJ is gone. I mean, he also had his injuries, but still he's taken a
But
hit. I mean,
I feel like
Thielen, you can argue like, yeah, this season he was everything, but then that bad quarterback play, like he's been nothing since then. Amari
he's
Cooper is a
yeah,
major one.
yeah. I
Like,
agree. Yeah, Amari
you're
Cooper,
right.
the switch to Joe Flacco
Chris
has
Olave,
boosted Cooper so much.
Garrett Wilson took a major hit. Terry
Yeah.
McLaurin also took a major hit from bad
So
play. Maybe
I'm
not.
saying like those of you that are listening, just don't put all your trust in your wide receivers. Like
Yeah.
I know people have very good wide receivers, but that quarterback goes out, it's not necessarily a direct like parallel to the backup quarterback because they could have two very different styles of play and
What I will say is it's
have
volatile.
different
It's going to be
favorites.
up. It's going to be up and
Yeah,
down. It's not
yeah,
going to be just you can trust this guy week
yeah,
over week anymore. I think
exactly.
it's becoming a running backs league
Mm,
where like I feel
well,
like running
yeah.
backs are always pretty consistent.
Well, and you
Actually,
look at this last week with the Vikings. I mean, Addison just went off. Addison had a great game, and Justin Jefferson,
had a
all
good
right game, good game
17.
fantasy wise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was all right, but you notice that difference because JJ obviously world class talent, but
Nick
because
Mullins.
Because Nick Mullins kind of favored the deep ball, he went after Addison more, and obviously he scored on that 60. I don't know. Was it a 60-yard? No, no, no. I was
It was a
thinking
long
something
time.
else. I don't know. It was a deep ball. So Addison scored. So, you know, who knows? I just wanted to point out that, there's a lot of volatility when it comes to wide receivers right now with all of these quarterbacks out. So those of you going into the second round of the playoffs, if your wide receiver or if your quarterback of your if the quarterback of your wide receivers go down, you might want to think about whether or not you want to
Well,
start them.
it's boom or bust.
Yeah, it's boom or bust. It is because you could walk in and they could be favored. They could have manufactured targets that the coach specifically put in place, and they could, get 12 catches for 120 yards. Who knows? But you could also walk in and they couldn't get anything. And that backup quarterback just favors the tight end, favors the wide receiver two more. And you could walk away with 5 points.
Yeah.
So that's
Something to
just
keep an eye on. But with that,
yeah.
it's time to drink. It's time to drink.
Yep. And that goes into our dream lineups. And honestly, this is really funny because we have pretty much the first three are are
All
are the
right, boom.
same.
Let's just
Yeah.
rattle. Let's
Let's
just rattle.
just rattle it
Jalen
off.
Hurts. Jalen
Yeah.
Hurts is obvious. I feel
Yep.
like point like his rushing ability, his rushing touchdowns are everything.
And he is,
And against New York, see
yeah,
ya.
and he's got to get himself in gear. I think this is his tune-up game before they go on to face
Well,
who are
and they
they
need to
facing?
win. They need to win. So they
Yeah,
have the Giants this week, and then next week they have Arizona.
okay, all right.
So two games that
So
they
this is
need to get a better seed and hope
yeah,
that the Niners and Cowboys lose a couple, lose
yeah.
one or
So I can
and
definitely see
San
him
Francisco
getting
has Baltimore this week, and that's a very losable game for the 49ers.
yep, and they could take over, especially with their matchups. I mean, they got the Giants, Arizona, and the Giants again.
Yeah,
So
and then
Jalen Hurts
Dallas
is
Dallas has
he's
Miami,
got
and that
yeah.
defense has not been playing well.
So we'll see. I mean, Jalen Hurts could put up decent points.
Well, I mean, against the Giants in Arizona, I'm
Yeah,
expecting massive, huge.
yeah. Well, I don't necessarily know because they may lean on the run game once they get up because they know that the Giants probably can't come back from it,
But
and
he'll still be
Arizona might
part of that
not be
run
able to
game.
come back.
You know,
Yeah,
it's gonna be
he'll be
RPO.
supporting the run game, obviously, but I know that they'll probably lean on the run game once they get up. So
But after
Jalen
that,
Hurts, we got Kyron
Herman.
Williams
Yeah,
versus New Orleans. That is a
that defense has
given.
been not good against good offense.
Well, and not just that, but Kyron Williams, his
Has been
usage,
a
he
monster.
is a huge part of that offense, and they're gonna definitely run him into the ground. Like they're going to run him the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, they're gonna run him till it hurts.
Yeah. Um, so then we move
This
on
next
to
one is
Oh, go
he's a
ahead.
consistency pick. No, yeah, Rashad
Yeah,
White. He's
Rashad White versus Jacksonville. I think that's just a given. I mean, whether or not Lawrence is playing, you need to put in
but
Rashad because whether
he's
the game
being
script goes
manufactured.
against him,
That's his
yeah,
thing.
but exactly whether the game script goes against him or not, he's still going to produce, which is fantastic. I love running backs that can do
He's
that.
everything in the pass game, and then he's going to get 20, I'd say
Yeah,
18 to 20 totes rushing.
yeah, yeah, and he's just been really solid. I'm really regretting. I mean, I got AJ Brown out of the deal, but I'm really regretting letting him go. Um, I think I gave uh, this guy in my other league like a third round pick or a second round pick this upcoming year, Rashad White and um, Khalil
Herbert.
Herbert. Herbert, yeah, yeah, I went for the Bears, and I got AJ Brown out of that. So
But
I think that's a pretty decent deal. But you know,
going forward, it doesn't feel so good.
yeah, it doesn't feel so good now. Now that I'm hurting and that my wide receivers are now injured or can't play. So I don't know. All right, so
Now we
after
can
we got Rashad
separate.
White, we split
Now we can
we split
separate.
from there.
Yeah.
I am going with CeeDee Lamb versus Miami. I just think that's going to be a great game.
I was
And I
torn.
love what CeeDee Lamb has been doing. I mean, even when they had a crappy game last week against the Bills, he still put up 18 points, like, which was fantastic. I love that. So I'm kind of trusting in CeeDee Lamb right now that he's going to be able to produce, be able to do something.
Yeah. I was torn. I was between CD and who I chose, which was Sun God. But I'm also rolling with Sun God in the fantasy playoffs, so hopefully it can produce a little good karma. But it's also a good matchup against Minnesota. Their secondary hasn't been as good. Um, so I like Sun God. I like what he did in this win last week with Jared
Yeah,
Goff. 26 doesn't hurt anybody. And he's another guy like Pittman who's just getting a lot of manufactured touches to him. So I'm a
yep,
big fan of Sun God.
same. He was my second. The only the only thing that I was a little iffy about was the Minnesota defense because they have been fairly
They've been
good.
better of late.
So that's the only thing that I was worried about with starting him. Um, but Devontae Adams versus Kansas City, this is my Hail Mary. Um, this is I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm hoping that they lean on him a
Yeah.
lot uh, because they're going to be having to play catch up with KC.
Well, here's
So
the thing
I'm
with
hoping
the
that he
Raiders,
gets a
though.
lot of targets.
What's been working for the Raiders is manufacturing touches to Devontae Adams and running Zamir White and in
Yeah.
relief to Jacobs. So if Jacobs can't play, what's worked is they're running back in the pass game, getting a lot
Yep.
of touches, and throwing the ball to Devontae. That's their formula
Yep.
for. Obviously, if
And
they have,
that's
that's awesome. But
yeah, but they're not facing, you know, LAC. They're facing Kansas City. So
that's a rough
that's
defense.
going to be that's a rough defense, and I'm kind of
But
wary
it's
of
it's
it.
a divisional
That's why
game.
it's a hit
The
or miss.
Raiders
It's
got
a
to
Hail
claw
Mary.
their way back into it. It could
Yeah,
be something.
yeah, and because it is a divisional game, it's going to be rough, but I think it's going to be profitable fantasy wise. I think there's a lot of points that are going to come out of it. So, um, I went with somebody who's kind of been on a hot streak um, for my tight end.
Well, I want to talk
Or
about
wait, oh yeah, you want to do your wide receiver? Sorry, I thought you went through Sun God
can I?
and him.
Is that
Sorry,
okay?
go ahead. No, it's not.
Um, I'm taking also kind of a shot in the dark in Olave. Um, he's got a good matchup against the Rams, but we'll see with his injury. They said it sounds like he's going to play, but we'll see. But when he has played, Olave has been really
He's
solid.
he's been good. Yeah,
Not
he's been
amazing.
good.
He's been solid. So
He's been a wide receiver too, a solid
yeah,
wide receiver too.
exactly.
Yeah, and that's
That's
all
all
you
I
can
needed.
ask from him.
Yeah, that's all I needed.
Exactly. So I think that's a good pick for you. Um, so you go ahead. Tell us about your tight end.
I'm taking Laporta again. That's my dude. That's who I wanted to draft before your dad got to him first. But it's okay, man. That's fantasy.
Yeah,
Laporta's been phenomenal, so I'm sticking with
absolutely phenomenal. And my dad got real lucky getting
at the
Kyron
draft.
Williams and Laporta in the same draft. I was so jealous. But yeah, I I
You
am going
for Kyron?
I am going with David and Njoku versus Houston.
Wait, surely he did not. No, he added Kyron from free agency, which is worse.
Oh, he did? Oh, dang.
That's even worse.
Yikes. I thought he got him in the draft. I thought it was just a late round pick.
But he did get Puka and
Man.
Bijan in the draft.
Oh yeah, that's right. Puka, oh my gosh. He got Puka, Bijan, and Laporta
Your dad got
and Kyron
Bijan.
Williams.
He got Bijan, JSN.
Oh my gosh, my dad won this draft.
He
He
got
for sure won this draft.
he got Laporta. He got
Oh
Tajay
my
Spears,
gosh.
who you're still talking about might be something.
Jeez.
Your dad is set up, honestly,
Yeah,
for
he's set up for this year and next and probably the year after. He's set up.
and then he got
So
Puka
that's
and
crazy.
so yeah, Puka, Tajay Spears, Sam Laporta, Bijan.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
When we have
Go
our
ahead.
rookie review, we got to bring him in and talk
Yeah.
to him about that
Talk about how he
because
evaluates talents and wipes the floor with it.
yeah, yeah, I
But
exactly.
he's
I
gonna have
want
a
to I
top
want
two
to
pick
ask
this
him.
year too, which is also funny.
Yeah, that is yeah, he could have the number one pick. Oh
No,
my
there's
gosh.
no way he loses the tank fest.
He
He's
might.
not tanking. He's not
Who
tanking.
knows? Who knows?
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't. We'll see.
So
We'll see.
I'm going with David and Njoku versus Houston. I think he's been utilized a lot since Flacco has come into play.
Mhm.
He's gotten a lot of targets. I think it's going to be the same. Um, I don't know. Is Stroud playing or not?
Stroud is
Injured.
not. No, Stroud is
Stroud
not.
is not. Okay. Well, I mean, that kind of lessens it a little bit because I don't think they're going to have to work as hard. But I'm still going to stick with David and Njoku. I think he's a solid pick. and they're going to need to keep the ball moving no matter what. So,
Yeah.
um, both of our flex ones are the same.
Yeah, James Cook all the way.
James
The
Cook
passing, the
with
passing.
his 40, yeah, with his 40 point game this last week, absolutely crazy. Like he balled out this last week. So
But
I'm rolling with
your
him.
second one is an RB1.
Yeah.
We have him listed as an RB. We have
Oh,
Gibbs.
we have him listed?
Yes,
Oh, come on. You should have said something earlier.
I didn't notice. I'm sorry. Well, as soon as you
Oh
submitted,
my
we
gosh.
started. So I will talk about
Yeah.
what you think about it. I'm taking Rashi Rice again. He's been the number one option for Kansas City, and he's been really consistent down the stretch from week 12. Um,
Yeah.
and I like guys who get a lot of targets. Like that's my thing. That's why I loved Pittman. That's why I really like DK, even though the thing with DK has been he has just not had a quarterback that can get him the ball. Like he's gotten the targets and just
Yeah.
had bad quarterback play. Like Geno Smith this year has been really bad. Drew Lock hasn't been much better this year so far, but he just needs a QB that can get him the ball. That's it.
Yeah.
And Seattle is going to be in a position to where they can get a quarterback this year, and they absolutely need to take advantage. Like I know people are riding high off of
Yeah.
beating Philly, but they have to. They have to get a quarterback.
Yeah.
Drew Lock is not the
I
answer.
agree.
As someone who lived in Denver for a long time, Drew Lock is not the answer.
Drew Lock is not the answer. I
But with
I
that,
agree with that.
we have an episode.
Well, I have not said my last one. I'm
Oh,
gonna go DeAndre Swift against the Giants.
that's solid. He's also RB1, but
No, he's not.
he is indeed.
Oh, he is? Fine. Then I'm just gonna pick Joe Mixon.
You can have Joe Mixon.
All right.
I
I'll
almost
pick
picked
Joe
Mixon.
Mixon.
I almost put Mixon in.
All right. I'll pick Mixon. Who's he facing this week?
He plays Thursday against Pittsburgh.
Okay. Yeah.
But a
I
Minka
definitely pick.
Fitzpatrick-less Pittsburgh and a Demonte KZ-less Pittsburgh secondary because KZ is suspended for the rest of the season after his Pittman hit, and
Ooh.
then Minka Fitzpatrick is injured again. Which
So that's solid.
honestly, people are coming after the league for suspending KZ for the year, but there was no reason for that hit that KZ put on him.
Yeah.
Like it was all
That
head.
was ridiculous.
It was full extension. Like I understand
Are
Gardner.
you
The bigger thing is Gardner Minshew. He never should have thrown it across the middle to a defenseless wide receiver. Like that's just
yeah.
something you don't do. But that KZ hit was unnecessary. He's been hanging out with Minka Fitzpatrick, the dirtiest player in the league, too much.
Yeah. It was a little ridiculous, but from what I saw.
I
So
I cannot tell you how much I dislike the Steelers secondary. Like they have caused a lot of injuries this season. They've been, in my opinion,
yeah.
very like people talk about Kareem Jackson being dirty. His hits were just big. They weren't dirty. He didn't injure anybody. They were just
Yeah.
huge hits.
Yeah.
But people come after Kareem Jackson, and then you have people like Minka Fitzpatrick and KZ who have been injuring people this year, and not one peep.
Yep. Well, I mean, people are starting to say something.
No, I
So
mean, yeah. Now that KZ got suspended for the year, they're starting to be like, "Oh,
yeah.
hold on a minute."
Okay. So you went Rasheed Rice with your last one, right?
Yeah, Rashi
Okay.
Rice.
All right. Okay.
But that's our episode.
Cool. Well, yeah, that is our episode. So
Good
thank you
luck to
guys for
anyone.
listening.
Real quick, good luck to
Oh,
anyone
yeah,
in
go
your
ahead.
second round playoff matchup. I'm in three of them. Ryan has a big
Yep.
one against Alex, so
I'm in
stuff in the
five.
ship.
I'm in five. So yeah, luckily. Um, so yeah, that is our episode. Thank you guys for listening, and we appreciate your what is it, patronage.
Patronage, yeah.
We appreciate you listening to us and
Very,
listening to the podcast,
very old school.
interacting with us. Um, and you can find us on, at YouTube, Spotify, anywhere where you find your
Podcast.
playlist or yeah, your podcast. I'm sorry, I'm fumbling a little bit
Well,
today.
you're recovering
But
from sickness. You get a
I
pass.
am. I have literally taken the last 2 days off of work. So yeah, I've been real sick. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. And you can find us on any of our social media platforms: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Last Place FP. So check us out. Thanks for listening.
Never forget.
Oh my God.
Sometimes you're right. Sometimes you are Ryan.
Sometimes you're in the second round of the playoffs,
I am in 3 leagues.
but not our league.
I know,
That's
not
right.
this,
That's
not this
right.
league, not this league. But that's how it shakes, man. That's how it shakes.
Yeah.